Yo, 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 it's your boy Derek, the Dopest Detailer, coming at you again today with another live edition of the Dopest Detailer. Listen, I just want to talk a little bit today about dealerships, as I've been talking about, and what dealerships are willing to pay and what they're not willing to pay. And how, most times, people think that they're getting a bad deal when they deal with dealerships. And I think, the biggest problem with dealerships is not the dealership, but it's the detailer's inability to negotiate a good situation for themselves. And, you got to think about it this way. Just like people can call you anything they want to call you, it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. Well, same holds true for, business. People can offer you whatever they want to offer you, but it's not about what they offer you, it's about what you're willing to accept. And what you're willing to accept should always be what you're able to negotiate. A lot of times, you know, I think detailers feel like, they deserve this and they deserve that. And yes, we do. I'm the first to speak on what it is I feel like I deserve. But with knowing what I deserve, I also understand that it's not about what I deserve, it's about what I negotiate. And if you don't have the ability to negotiate, then you're going to get whatever it is, or you can, you could take it or you can leave it, or you can learn how to negotiate a deal that's going to work for you and that's going to work for the dealership. You got to remember, you guys are in this together. It's a team effort. Look, they're in it to save money, you're in it to make money, and somewhere along the way there has to be a middle ground, and that's where a negotiation comes in at. You might come in and say, all right, I want $200 a car, but knowing realistically that you will take $140 a car, but you bid up so that you can meet somewhere in the middle. Bid up so you can meet somewhere in the middle. Now, if you want 200 and you know that your lowest is 140, but yet you still agree to 120, you can't get mad at the dealer for that, because he out negotiated you. And then you go and you get into these cars and you start detailing these, get into these situations, and you start seeing that it's not worth the money. Well, it's not worth the money. You knew it wasn't worth the money, but you took it anyway. So the same way you have the ability to say yes, you have the ability to say no. If what you've negotiated is what you are happy with, then that's what you get. If that's not what you're happy with, then don't accept it. It's real simple. There are great situations to get involved in at dealerships. But another thing I wanted to touch bases on was, there are certain types of uh, uh, certain type of situations you can get into. You got the dealerships, you got the car lots, you got the wholesale buyers and sellers, the flippers that I like to call them, and then you have, that one guy that buys cars and he sells them, every month. He sells a car a month. But let's talk about the first three. A dealership and a lot, a auto lot, are two totally different animals. Totally different animals. More times than often, a dealership is a brand. Audi, Lexus, Porsche, BMW, Maserati, Ferrari. Dealerships are usually a brand. Auto lots are, John's used car sales, used car lot, or Billy's pay here, buy here, buy here, pay here situation. I mean, those are lots. They're two different animals, and negotiating with both of these types of situations are different. You have to know what you're willing to do and how much you're willing to do it for. Dealerships, when you get into dealerships, more times than often, they want you to be a vendor, basically be a part of their operation, basically built in. More times than often, a dealership is going to provide you with the space. Sometimes you get into a dealership where they pay for the supplies. These are the things that you get into when you're in a dealership. An auto lot usually has a garage, a little space carved out somewhere, probably in the back of the building. If you're lucky enough and it's inside of a building, then you can get lucky and say, okay, well, I detail for a lot. What's up? The lots, they're going to carve out a space for you. They're going to have some cars, maybe a couple cars a week. Dealerships have cars every day. It's a part of their operation. They're trading cars in all day, every day. They're usually trading in out of lease cars for new cars, regular trade-ins, cars that aren't crazy bad. Every now and then you're going to run into one that's crazy, but for the most part, you're dealing with brand new cars. You have, one part of a dealership is you're dealing with brand new cars that you're going to be delivering. Then another part is you're dealing with lease returns that most people keep up with their lease returns, so they're not that bad. They need a little bit of tender loving care, but they're not that bad. And then you have your full-on trade-ins. Those at times are going to take some work. Not a lot of work, because again, you're at a dealership, and people who are bringing cars to the dealership for a new car, more times than not, they kind of sort of take care of their cars, as opposed to a car lot. A car lot, those guys are getting cars from the auction, or they're getting trade-ins. Most times they're getting cars from the auction, and they're for lack of better terms, they're trash trucks. And yeah, it's going to take some work to do those in some cases. And then in some cases, it's just a regular detail, regular cleanup. But for the most part, you negotiate different. It's a whole different animal. One is pretty much you're built into their system. They're going to have you there every day, all day, every day. You have to put together a full crew, 20, that's always available, 6 days a week, whatever the hours are for that dealership. You're a vendor, so you have to put together a team. Now, your company has to put together a team that's going to show up every day. You need a manager, maybe 2 managers. You have to have a system, a system that's able to function, whether you're there or not. People are there. Your team is there all day, every day. That's a dealership. An auto lot, they don't sell as many cars as dealerships, so they don't have as much inventory coming and going as dealerships. So their work is pretty, for the most part, sporadic. Yeah, they do have their busy seasons, just like every other, any automotive situation. They have their busy seasons where they'll come in, they'll get a bunch of cars, usually around tax season. They have a big inventory, but for the most part, it's kind of sort of hit or miss, but they're not bad situations to get into if you negotiate the right deal with them. I always said, one of your strongest negotiation tools is first showing what you can do. If you go to auto lot, which I like to refer to as mom and pop spots, which is cool, nothing's wrong with that. But if you go into these auto lots, you might want to go in and say, listen, let me do a car first. Let me show you what I can do. And then once you show what you can do, now you have some leverage to negotiate, because now this individual sees what you can do. And then you also break down everything that you've done, letting that individual knows that, okay, this is what comes with the detail, and anything else outside of this is a la carte. You have a menu of things that you do outside of what it was that you brought to the table. Now, of course, you can't go into a dealership or a mom and pop auto lot situation and say, okay, I'm going to shampoo every car, I'm going to pull out the extractor, and it's just going to be crazy. Like, when you're doing that type of work, you have to break that down. You have to charge for that, and you have to let it be known that this is what you're going to charge for. So say, for instance, you go into an auto lot, you give one flat fee. So you say, okay, I'm just throwing some numbers out there. It's going to be $140 for a detail. If they say, but you already know, listen, I'm willing to take $125. So if that person comes and says, I'll give you $100. You say, okay, well, give me $130. All right, I'll give you $125. All right, now you got your number. But then you say, okay, that's my flat rate for whatever you bring in here, car or truck. However, once we start talking about headlight restorations, carpet extractions, heavy stain removal, which comes with carpet extraction, and a few other things that you can throw in there, you charge for that. Compounding, heavy scratch removals, You might not want to offer up a compound or a paint correction for $125. You let them know, hey, listen, a paint correction compounding situation, I have to charge you per panel. If there's a situation that I have to, do a paint correction, take some heavy scratches out, I have to charge you per panel. You can say anywhere from $25 a panel to $50 a panel. If it's a black car, then obviously you're going to go up on the higher end, $50 a panel. If it's not a black car, you're going to go on the low end, $25 a panel. Now you won't find yourself taping up and compounding and correcting an entire car for $125. You've negotiated. Now you tell them to bring you a car that needs some scratches removed, and you show that you can actually do that work. Okay, I can do scratch removal. I can do paint correction. If you bring me a car from the auction that needs a complete paint correction because you're trying to sell this thing, this is what it's going to cost extra on top of this $125 flat fee that I've given to you, including, outside of this $125 flat fee that I've charged you for SUVs and cars. You can actually say $125 for cars and $150 for SUVs, but you come in with a flat price and you have an a la carte, okay? You offer different services for the vehicles. This way you don't get yourself in trouble. Now, again, this is about negotiating. Either they're going to say yes or they're going to say no. If they say yes, okay, you're rolling. If they say no and you're not getting the number that you want or even close to the number that you want, then that's not a deal for you. And don't get involved in it if you know it's not a deal for you. Just say no, thank you. I appreciate your time, but this isn't going to work for me. You have a good day, shake hands and go about your business. Don't get into it, promising one thing, knowing that this person is expecting another thing from you. And then when this person calls you out on it, when they start to nitpick you on every little thing, you say, oh, well, you're not paying me for that. Well, they're not paying you for that because you didn't negotiate it. You didn't negotiate the right way. The things that they're nitpicking you about, you should have a list. These are the extra things that I do for you. Obviously, you can't do headlight restoration and paint corrections on an entire car, for $125. So don't get yourself caught up in a deal like that. Now, at an auto lot, you can also negotiate to be their on-site detailer, where you would say, okay, listen, because everybody isn't mobile and everybody doesn't have a shop. So if somebody is just looking for a situation, you're a really good detailer and you're just looking for somewhere to be, you can make some money. You go in, you say, okay, listen, I need to get a base fee, win, lose, or draw at the end of the week. This is what I need to go home with. You can negotiate it that way and say, this is what I need to take. If they don't have the kind of cars to sustain the amount of money that you want to make, then you say, okay, listen, pay me a flat fee and I'll be willing to come in every day, set up shop, and just hang around. Okay, that's more like a job, but okay, whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you. But there are good situations out there that you can get into at auto lots that's going to offer you that. Dealerships is a whole different ball game. Like, you got to come in with your business license, your insurance, your corporate docs, bank accounts, payrolls, workman comp, all of these types of things. This is what you deal with when you're with a dealership. So now we've spoken on dealerships and we've spoken on auto lots, two different animals, and there's more to it, but we can get into it at another time. You ask, I'll tell you. The third thing is wholesalers, flippers, one-man gangs. These guys are going and buying cars and maybe get 2 cars a month, 2 cars a week, whatever. They set them out on their front lawn and they put a for sale sign in it. These guys want you to detail their cars for $100, or $100 maybe on the high end for them. They want you to detail their cars for $75. They're going to promise you 10 cars a week, and they don't have 10 cars a week or whatever. They're going to promise you something that they know they can't offer you. And you need to be able to read that. You need to be able to read the room and know that, okay, that's not what I'm going to get from this individual. Either I'm going to bring that person up to my conversation and we're going to do business, or I'm going to stoop down to his conversation and we do business. You have a choice. Again, it's negotiating. Just let them know, hey, listen, you're trying to get this much money for this car. You went to the auction, you paid $2,500 for the car. You're trying to sell it for $6,000. That's a $3,500 markup. But you want me to go balls to the walls on this car. Okay, you're going to sell it for an addition. Whatever you pay for it, I know you're going to double or triple your money. In your mind, you got to know that. So now it's, listen, I can detail your car. It's going to cost you $275, $300, for what I usually charge $400 for. Take it or leave it. Real simple. That's negotiating, and you can't, and don't do it for any less. Don't do something for way less than what's going to make you happy. Don't do it. Because at the end of the day, a happy detailer is a well-paid detailer. And if you're not paid well for what it is that you do, it's going to show in everything that you do. And then they're going to start picking you apart, and then you're going to get pissed off. And then, God forbid, you don't have a bad attitude and want to punch them in the face. Don't do that. But I've seen crazy situations. Again, it all comes down to negotiating, man. You got to be willing to negotiate, and you got to be ready. You got to be ready. You go into these dealerships, you better be ready. You better have your corporate docs. You better have your insurance. You better have your licenses. You better have payroll. You better have everything lined up. You better have some working capital. You need, and you better have a level of professionalism that you can go sit in a room and negotiate, because that's long term and the money is great if you can negotiate the right deal for yourself. You go into a mom and pop situation, again, know how to negotiate, know how to get what you want, understand what it is that you're willing to give up for what it is they're willing to pay you, okay? Meet somewhere in the middle and be happy. The wholesalers, be ready to pull your hair out, punch them in the face, or meet somewhere in the middle. I take that back. Don't punch nobody in the face. You don't have to pull your hair out. I've never done that in my 24 years of detailing. It's always just been easier for me to walk away or say, no, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, but I'm going to go in another direction. So don't take that literally. Don't punch nobody in the face, and don't lose your cool. But yeah, that's what it really comes down to, knowing how to negotiate. If you know how to negotiate, you'll be fine. And dealerships, auto lots, they're good situation. And even some wholesalers, they'll depending on which one you run into, and that stands true for all of them. Dealership, auto lots, and wholesalers. If you run into a good situation, man, you're good to go. So my advice is take advantage of it if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, take a walk. Tell them thank you for the opportunity and keep it pushing. Hey, listen, this is your boy Derek, the dopest detailer, coming at you again. I just want for you to share, like, subscribe, tell a friend, turn on that notification. So every time that I post a video, you'll get it. And you can sit down and check it out or share it with some friends. I really need for you guys to share this. I'm starting to see my numbers going up, and I appreciate it. I'm starting to see the questions come in, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys for the support. But let's keep on pushing it. I like to get this thing going. I like to sit down every day and have these conversations with you. So again, this is your boy Derek, the dopest detailer, coming at you today, and look forward to talking to you again, making another video. I'm out. Peace.